Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to King of the Pool. As we're back for an exciting week of ability draft, and we're proceeding into our second week of the playoffs. And we have with North American and Europe battling out this week, as always. With Europe being a little bit different than North America, as we have them battling out both a upper division and a lower division this week. We'll get into a little bit more about exactly who's battling where and what exactly is going on a little bit. But in terms of our North American brothers, they have the upper bracket week two battling it out, which for those that were here last week that remember, they had a bye into the second round because we only had 6 teams that made it into the playoffs for the North American finals. This week, I have with me none other than young Elodin, who is going to be casting with Canadian Chicken, who will be coming on a little bit later. He's just over there doing a bit of prep work for us. But jumping back and talking a bit about our brackets for last week here. Um, the European guys here, in terms of the upper bracket, we have No Jungle and Harolds battling it out today. And we also have Drusky and the MY, I always screw this up, MVYIT guys battling it out probably a bit later in the week, as their members are from Eastern Europe, and we all know what's going on over there. And then our North American brothers are duking it out tonight. We have GPOT versus Good Jujo, who were our victors from last week. And then we have the Draft Dodgers versus the Puppet Masters, who were our victors from last week. As I mentioned, I have with me this week young Elodin and Canadian Chicken doing the casting. Young, it's nice to have you on the main stage. You've been doing some casting for us in terms of the group stages and that kind of thing, but welcome to the main stage.
Yeah, thanks for the welcome. Glad to be here. Pretty exciting to be on the mainstream of the high ground vision. Looking forward to this game entirely tonight. I think we've got some awesome games to discuss.
Speaking of that, in particular, we're going to be casting the No Jungle versus Heralds tonight. Should be a fairly good matchup. These guys know each other well and duke it out often in Europe, as they're both members of the same Discord, and will often do many in-houses and lobbies together, and often get matched up if they're not draft dodging each other when they're doing matchmaking. So we should see some pretty good fight out of these two tonight, I would expect.
All right, looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to have you on, and you've been helping us cover a bit of the groups and whatnot. But before we get into that, why don't you take a bit of time and talk about what got you into Ability Draft? Why you sort of agreed to come on, do a bit of casting, this kind of thing.
Yeah, I had a little bit of experience with casting way back when. So those of us who've been playing Dota since like Dota 1, during the beta, and all the changes in client we've seen since then, I've I had a hand in some casting back then, and it took a little break to try out some other things. But I thought this year would be a great year coming out of COVID to get back into some of that commentary. And Ability Draft has been something I have enjoyed playing before. But I haven't really got any exposure to this competitive scene, so it was a real curiosity point I wanted to pick at. And now that I've been casting some of the games for the last couple of weeks since we started this year, you know what? I had no idea what I was getting into, and the level of commitment, the level of intensity that people are putting into this game mode, I generally did not expect. And I'm really excited now that we've got such an awesome game ahead of us. And No Jungle vs Harolds. After watching their games during the group stage, I'm only filled with excitement to watch the best of three tournament.
That is awesome. Well, you have this sort of rare perspective where other casters have maybe, played ability draft, maybe been, sort of dragged in by us once before to do something, this kind of thing. But, you've been in the thick of it now for you know, 6 weeks doing the groups and now a couple of weeks doing the playoffs here. What have you sort of learned from watching the pro players here at sort of their next level of ability draft, that you're taking home and thinking about in your own games?
So yeah, the priority in terms of when you draft is so intense compared to normal competitive Dota because in a competitive scene for regular Dota matches, you already have an idea of what heroes have, what their abilities are like, what their stats are like, and that doesn't really hold weight. Other than I guess for current context, the patch notes would change a little bit of that weight, and it gives you kind of this impression of I'm familiar with Temporal Assassin, I'm familiar with Naga Assassin, I know what their abilities generally do, I know what they're all how to utilize them. Having in ability drafting, watching these games have shown me that there's so much more importance as to those character models, the inherent stats that they have, and how to play around with them, because that has a significant impact on what abilities you then need to draft with. Um, you also have to this in such a very short time span. The draft is very quick. You have, I think, a minute after you see the abilities, and then I think 30 seconds after the heroes are revealed about who gets what, and that's incredibly quick to make these very high impact decisions with the team as well in mind, because everyone you got 10 people drafting picks. Um, yeah, the, you have to have such clear decision making, such excellent decision making that I am so impressed by watching some of these players. And I had the luxury of having one of those pro players codecast with me last week, and his insights were astounding because he would get on the point what everyone is thinking at that stage, which picks are good, which ones are necessities, and I am blown away by that. I definitely don't think it's something that everyone can straight away pick up. It definitely is the passion from these players that shines through.
I completely agree, and that's one of the things that I strive to highlight is just the passion that ability draft players have for this mode, for just really peeling back the layer of the onion that is Dota and trying to understand the true nature of how this works. And as we were sort of talking earlier before we got live on stream here, but sort of that idea where you can sort of play Ice Frog every single game and like sort of craft your own hero and try out different strategies and combinations and things. And then to take that to a whole other level of, not thinking selfishly about what I want to do in this given draft, but to have a whole team of people behind you that's thinking the same way. And how do we maximize what we're trying to do, but then also deny everyone else at the same time? It adds an entire unique level of strategy that I don't think most people in Dota even know that exists or even potentially consider.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you on that.
Well, that's wonderful. So we're coming up here on the lobbies. We do have a lobby open for the matchup today. We're just waiting on the people to assemble in. Why don't we go ahead and get you in there as well? Thank you. And then Chicken will be joining us here once he wraps up his a meeting that he is in, and then we'll proceed to get you two on to casting this matchup, this best of three, as we look into our upper bracket series here. We have a bit more time. Why don't we go back and take a look at our brackets again here now that I have fixed a bunch of our technical problems. From last week, we had the upper bracket round one for EU playing out, where all teams were essentially seeded into the upper bracket based on their seeding from the group. And based on those playoffs last week, we had No Jungle and Harolds advancing, which we will be casting today. And then from the third and fourth position, we had Drunsky and the MVYIT guys beating out the famous Four Incredibles and the Badass to progress into the other match. They'll probably be a bit later this week, and we'll see about maybe casting them on the weekend. And then these other bunch fell down to the lower bracket for EU, who is also being played out today, but this is just a best of one. with TRC and Fish, as well as Badass and the famous for Incredible Luck. And we will probably be updating you throughout the cast today with what is going on with those, as they will probably be done before we finish up our best of three today. Here's hoping, fingers crossed, we have actually three wonderfully beautiful matches and it's not a stomp. Um, one can only hope. Looking at our North American bracket again, we have the seeded teams that got the bye from last week that we talked about here for no Gyro 2OP, as well as the Draft Dodgers that got seeded directly into the upper bracket round two. Last week, the Pizza Happy Meal and the Good Juju. How did they know? It's like they had an inside thing or something. Um, Good Juju, bad Juju. Splitting up the alts. I love it.
They
Um,
definitely had a call on that. They had inside
the
information.
inside information. It's even funny because I think we had in Slacks, not Slacks, it was Purge Slacks tournament there, the bad juju as well. So it's like, how do they know? It's like either they're watching us or we're watching them or something. But either way, it's managed to screw up ability draft, and I hope we see it today. But the Pizza Happy Meal guys were defeated by Good Juju, who's advanced to take on Gyro 2OP, which I do believe that will be our casted match for later on today. Will be Gyro 2OP versus Good Juju. Join us later on tonight at this same stream for that. And then Puppet Master and the Bloodhounds duked it out, and the Puppet Masters were successful. So the Draft Dodgers and the Puppet Masters will also be duking it out later tonight. Now, looks like our lobby is actually ready, but we're waiting on chicken, so I got another like 15 minutes to fill here. Mm. So, let's talk a little bit about the groups here. Who is your favorite sort of duel that you've casted so far there? You've, casted various European groups, which, we've had the opportunity on the mainstream to mainly be casting North American so far. Who's been your favorite matchups so far?
To be honest, we've got them. This is my favorite matchup so far. I've had the pleasure of casting a lot of no jungle games. Um, they play exceptionally well. The drafts go pretty handily in their favor. They come up some really wacky or really brutal combos that I don't expect when we're in the drafting phase, and they just prove to be the better team time and time again. It's why they were top of the groups at the end of the Swiss stage. And Harolds is, I think, their biggest rival in this bracket. I think Harolds are the ones who want to take the fight to the jungle. They want to show to them that they're not the only team who can go who can who have the advantage in the drafts, who have the knowledge to and the ability to execute. And I think one time I did get to watch them play head to head. It was a draw game. It was a 1-1 draw. So I really am curious now with you know uh, things on with pressure on the line. One of them has to come out as a winner tonight, and that's why I want to see this game so
Well, keep
badly.
in mind it is a double elimination bracket, so even if one of them does get knocked down tonight, they do have the opportunity to get back up and try again to make their way, crawl their way, as it were, up through the lower brackets, and they may end up facing a rematch in the grand finals. Wouldn't that
I
be
think
something?
that would be incredible, but I think the team that takes the win this time round is going to is going to have that little advantage, and the team who does take the fall is going to want that rematch. So that's why I think this game is especially exciting.
Fair enough. Talking
Um,
of the standings for the group here, No Jungle was not the sort of clear and present victor that, in terms of North American, there was much more sort of clear gap in the top two winners.
okay.
If Drusky didn't actually suffer a penalty in terms of they were late to sign up and were penalized accordingly, they would have also tied No Jungle for first place.
Ah, right. Yeah, Drusky is actually the other team I think who do have a real chance of going far in this tournament as well. And while watching these three teams duke it out for the top spaces, it has been it's been my
Very
privilege to be able to cast the
interesting to
games.
watch the difference that these sort of three or four top teams bring to the table in terms of their strategies, their approaches. Some are better at drafting, some are better at playing, and it's quite obvious, sort of once the games get rolling, sort of who's who and what's what. But it is very interesting. We've sort of had this old bet between me and Chicken of, is it better to be a better drafter or is it better to be a better Dota player? And he's always maintained that it's always better to be a better Dota player, and I've always maintained it's better to be a better drafter. And we argue this back and forth, and now we have some of the best, you know, Dota players in the world here potentially arguing the scenarios either way. So we'll see how that plays out. But we sort of saw with the things last week with the way that Drusky did their drafts and then proceeded to play them was a very different style than the way that I would have considered it in North America. I don't know whether you had the privilege to watch those particular matches, but in casting them, some of the oddities that we saw were three of their team members without ultimates until basically level 11.
Okay, that's a God. I can't try and I wouldn't try and predict which three ultimates those were, but that is a surprising amount of
They
that's a
also
surprising
how
decision
they
making.
approached the draft was also very interesting in terms of they looked at the draft more from a perspective of these are things we don't want to fight, let's put them in a bucket. These are the couple of really powerful things that we think can be comboed with almost anything. Let's
Yeah,
pick equal things from both of those, which I thought was a very interesting strategy as well, where most people wouldn't have necessarily put the priority towards picking up the most powerful, obvious things, as well as hard counter picking as hard as they did, and then just building something that makes it work, and then swapping their heroes around to the players that play those roles. And that's something that we see on the higher level teams a lot of as well, is this ability to, know, draft collectively or individually and then swap those drafts around to the people that would play them best.
yeah, definitely. Just can we execute the draft in an efficient way for all our team members, and then can we put the best team members on their best equipment? Really, like ability draft has that unique style to do that because what uh you might draft something that's intended as a carry, and you can switch around which player you think is going to be best to pick up that role because that would depend on which lane they're most comfortable with. And there's a lot of I think it feels like there's a lot more flexibility you would have with this kind of way of playing than the typical, I guess, what most people would be accustomed to.
But I also enjoy the freedom that comes with that as well, in terms of, you can often think of that you're building a support or these kind of things, and then, you could swap it up and end up playing the carry that you got swapped with because that was the right thing to do. Or, hey, you wanted to try playing carry today and someone built something that seemed like a really interesting carry build. And when you got, a good group of people you play with, these kind of things become a lot of options.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, and the thing I think that is the biggest difference between the two drafting styles from ability draft and ranked captain's mode Dota is you don't get the option to ban things. You have to pick an ability to deny it for the enemy team, and that can shift what draft you decide to go for on your end. You can then, if you have to make a decision to deny some a very powerful combo, you have to then shift your own draft to benefit your choices better. So, um,
The whole
which is
reactive style to a draft is very
yeah,
much unique to this style of drafting in Dota completely. Because a lot of the times when you look at more captain's mode drafting, like drafting actual heroes and this stuff, it's a lot more fixed. in terms of, like there are fixed strategies, or, we know that these guys draft like this, so these are our counter drafts and how we do things. The meta looks like this, so these are the heroes that we want to draft that are strong. And it always feels to me when I watch the pro scene that the drafting, as much as it is extremely complicated and like really complex, it is to me, now that I've been watching it for years, it does feel a lot more rigid than the ability draft style of drafting, in terms of, by the nature of having to, pick a counter pick, then you need to now adapt your entire way of drafting to take advantage of what you just potentially counter pick someone for. And when that counter pick comes in, can often be the difference of the really high level ability draft players and the ones that are sort of more struggling to make it work.
For sure.
But I do see that Canadian Chicken has finally joined us and has done his meeting and ready to go, which means I believe we are basically ready to get started into a game. How you doing today, Chicken?
What's up? I don't even have Dota open yet.
Doesn't even have Dota open yet. This shows how, prepared he is.
I hope I'm not fired.
No, I'm not sure I could fire you even if I wanted to.
Oh, I
Fried?
don't mean you.
Did you say fried? Canadian fried chicken?
All right, I am opening Dota. I need a password. Password.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just waiting for Chicken to get into the lobby here, and then we'll be proceeding. It looks like the teams are ready to go. Once we get him
I
in,
don't
we'll
suppose you can
switch
just like
over.
type me the password somewhere so that I will have it right now instead of having to remember where I'm looking.
Yep.
I don't even know who I'm casting. Which game are we casting?
No jungle versus Harulds.
By the way, welcome to my life.
It
Hey,
sounds like a good life.
I was actively on the clock a moment ago, okay? This is not my fault. I did what I could to be done early.
The main thing is
Bam!
you're here.
Done.
I'm trying so hard not to hold back my excitement. This
Alright.
has been the highlight of my week. It's what I've been waiting for since last week after the results came in from both previous games. I am so looking forward to seeing this game and how it turns out.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we see a more balanced match than we have in some of the past ones. Obviously, we have had some caliber issues where just not all the teams are on the same caliber. Everything's weird in my pack. I should be fine.
Super
Yeah,
prepared as always, Chicken. I love it.
probably have a green screen set up later. But anyway, we got a draft.
We
What we
do,
got
we
here?
do.
Real question is, will we get a mulligan with the Invoker being the first pick here?
What's wrong with Voker first pick? I like Voker as a body personally.
Well, more of, is Dyer going to
There's
call it,
definitely worst.
having Voker
Especially
being the
since he'd be
first pick here?
Voker with Shakuchi.
Yeah,
That
that's
seems
that's
pretty
what I'm
sick.
seeing, right? Is in, do you really want to
Yeah.
fight Invoker
Oh,
with
you think
Sakuchi?
Dyer is gonna be like, I don't want to deal with that. Okay. Okay.
Shikuchi being in the draft is a big winner already.
Yeah, and as I sort of anticipated, we have a mulligan being called. Those that don't know, we have a mulligan rule here where we have the ability to call a mulligan if we feel that the heroes are too outsided or there's a particular problem with the draft, which we may also see today. But we're going to Frodo a be right back, and then we'll get back into this lobby as soon as it's back up. right, ladies and gentlemen, as we're back moving into another draft here, and we'll see what we have for us today.
Yes, Tinker. I
Okay.
love seeing Tinker.
So
Here
we
we go.
verified that Dyer called the
I've not
mulligan.
verified it yet. I should see something show up here in a second, but I would almost guarantee that that was Dyer calling that. Who would want to have Invoker? Who would
And
want to
now they
fight
have
Invoker Sakuchi?
Ricky and Broodmother.
Yeah.
I think I would have rather had the last draft, to be honest. That's just me.
That's the risk of the mulligan, right? It can be a
Yeah.
risk reward scenario, and that was the entire point, and that was one of the reasons that I liked it.
Well,
This
Atrophy
was
Aura are probably
not
going to go first.
this was not our idea. I will stress that we actually blatantly stole this from the Chinese guys that did their ability draft tournament back about almost a year ago now.
Oh, fair
But I'm
enough.
going to shut up and I'll let you guys talk about what's going to be drafting here.
Okay, Big
Rearm.
Tonton, yeah, prefers Riam over the Atrophy.
And over Permanviz. So I guess Atrophy is going to go to the Permanviz goes to the PA.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
Permanent Viz is definitely up there, but I'll be shocked if Atrophy doesn't get picked up in the first round.
Agreed. I'm surprised it's not picked up already.
To be
So I
honest, I'm
really
not.
like.
Seeing what's out there and
Uh,
what they need to get, I'm not. There's better stuff.
who's going to get Atrophy Aura? Bounty?
I don't know. I
Weird.
think it's quite
So
good for no jungle to get permanent invisibility and track on the same team because that's going to be useful. There it is. Finally,
agreed.
Atrophy gets picked up.
Agreed. Permanviz and track on the same team is going to be super helpful. I would not be surprised if they took the second invis just because it would just mean so much dust and centuries required by the other team.
Or you
But
could
one thing I
leave
want
it
to point
knowing you
out,
have the track anyways, right? You have the
um,
counter.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cloak and Dagger is all about an agility multiplier. Ricky's agility gain is 1.4. PA's agility gain is 3.4. That's a lot better.
Yep.
When PA hits you from behind, she is going to hit you with a brick.
And invisibility all the while. So, wondering what else she might be opting for. I'm trying to see what skills Big Tonton is going to be trying to pick up and whether Gerwin is going to be able to deny that. I expect that's why Gerwin picked up Stormhammer. They don't want Big Tonton to have any of these repeatable AoE stuns because that would be quite terrifying.
And that's where you guys were kind of stumbling over the first couple of picks here, and I'm seeing it play out in a very predictable way. As in, he picked Rearm. We need to get these two spells off the board immediately: Firestorm and the Hammer. The Hammer and Firestorm with Rearm are just a nightmare to fight, which meant that the PA could easily pick up the Cloak. Which, if the Omni's paying attention as the next pick, his is to pick up the Track, so that they don't get countered for the invis. Yes, the Ricky probably could have got it there, but he's more concerned about still trying to counter the rearm. So there's a
So
very
I
sequence and event of things that are going on there, and now this is where I've kind of fallen down in terms of I don't really know why certain things are being picked at this given stage. But
Yeah.
there was a very clear sequence of events that was happening to me there. You guys were asking why Apogee. I'm just like, you can't. There's other things you got to get picked up here, otherwise it's just going to be a problem.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Big Tonton forcing them to go for two really important skills with that, which allows Blop to pick up permanent invisibility uncontested. So yeah, it's a really well. Again, going back to the clear decision making like skill that these two teams have, that was straight away obvious for both
And
teams.
we're here
He's going to
calling
take
this
Leon.
out
We're going to
how
deny
many
it
minutes after it happened, and they're seeing it live in the moment, as in, this is what's
straight
on the
away.
board. He picked up this. We got to get these things, and this is why it's happening, kind of thing.
well, I understand what you're saying, but I still don't agree with the logic. I don't think you needed to first pick these abilities. The odds are we're not going to make it back to rearm. You have other people that could have picked them up. And now I feel like you're fighting this awesome rearm build because it's just going to slow you to a crawl. This amazing permanent invis on PA of all creatures. The
Now,
other three have decent builds as well, and I'm looking at the Dire team and I'm just not as impressed.
I think
Yep.
anti-tank hadn't picked up atrophy, it would have been the worst option, worst for them. I
Yes, the
think
Brood
Maximus
actually
had to pick
having
up
the
the.
Apatry, getting the spin rebs here with this, now ridiculous amount of damage that's going to come out from that alt as a kicker. This is going to
So
be fun.
my concern here with Broodmother, like I would have picked Spawn Spiderlings because she has no way of spending mana. And that's an entire resource pool that's just going to be left out of there. Her body is not designed to take these fights. You can give her all the bonus damage in the world, but she's still a Broodmother. At the end of the day, none of these abilities are defensive. They're all just damage and regen. And regen doesn't matter if you just squish her with your foot.
Yeah,
So I have a feeling she's gonna be a bug and she's gonna get squished. And I'm looking at
And you're
Radiant
right, they
Team and
do
I'm
have the
just like,
ability to jump, right? The Omni's got a great jump. That is, track onto the jump there with the Ricky Blink
Bounty's got a
Strike.
good
With
jump,
Purification, the Bounty's
PA's
got a
got
good one.
jump.
You
Like,
know, the Invis just coming out of
I don't
nowhere, the
know.
Rearm showing up with the TP. I get you, right? Brood is going to have problems and is going to have to play
I
around the webs.
I think that they focus too hard on countering the rearm build, is I guess the point that I'm trying to make. And they
mm.
didn't focus on making like more solid hero bases out of what they had to work with. I would have first picked Permanviz to fight the rearm with Permanviz and try and catch him out. Now you have to fight both. That seems like a very uphill battle.
It looks like the priority after countering uh, Rearm ended up not working too much in their favor. Although they did manage to catch atrophy, I don't think they have enough. I'm not really sure how the Ricky's build is going to develop well in this. But Blop's build is actually incredibly painful. I have shivers down my spine looking at what he's drafted. And yep, Maximus got almost exactly what he wants. He's got engagement, he's got healing, he's got slows, he's got vision. And if you actually have a look, we have Spawn Spiderlings on Lensk, on the Enigma. We have Demonic Conversion to create Eidolons and Rearm on Big Tauntaun. They have a remarkable amount of push. So this is probably going to be what they're going to do. Come level 6, they're going to force some towers. And I don't really see... Just having a look now. It's wanting to see if there's any large wave clear that's going to be able to throw them back. I think other than Firestorm and Crypt Swarm,
Firestorm's not to be underestimated. This thing, every time I look at
no.
it on the end screen, it does the most damage by far. It is a wave nuking
It's
ability extremely
the
well.
reason why it ends up doing most hero damage is because it's percentage based damage, but it's very nice for clearing a wave. I know what you mean. Like they have laser, they have Midnight Pulse to a degree,
Yeah,
and they have Death Prophet.
yeah.
Period. Death Prophet has two wave clear abilities. She can clear waves by herself, but that's it. Um, and that was kind of my point of like they focus so hard to fight this rearm build, and have they even fought it? If he starts being a tinker and he's popping off to waves and pushing through, I, I don't
It
know.
really depends on this top lane. If Imthor gets a really, really nice early game, has the free farm, gets the pressure he wants, and is able to just snowball out of control, then I think it's about an even game. But it's really dependent that Imthor gets a great start in the early game here. And the problem is, Big Tauntaun's going to be getting the advantage of the mid no matter what Gorman can do because of that demonic conversion. He's going to get a deny every creep wave, and there's
Yeah,
nothing Gorman can do about it.
and not just a deny, but he can make sure that that deny is out of experience range. So it's not even like a partial deny, it's going to be an entire deny.
Yeah,
He
it's
goes behind
uncontested.
the wave, and then he has these little creeps to fight the camps with. Um, it is going to be very hard for Death Prophet to keep up the same kind of experience if she can't go and hunt down the Eidolons. Because these Eidolons are denying her experience, and if she can't compensate, it's going to be a problem.
And if you look, even Big Tauntaun's using them to try and do a little bit of damage to that small camp as well. And look, now he's going to hit level 3, and Goldman is only 2/3 of the way there.
Yeah, the mid matchup definitely feels one-sided. I don't know if the 3 talismans. Oh, first blood.
Yeah, just watch to the top lane there. Maximus just, with that combo, Blink Strike into the Purification, Fish throws a dagger, and
Oh, sorry. Did the squishy bug get squished?
Yep.
I
Oh,
think,
man.
yeah.
I wonder who saw that coming. Um,
Who
so
We
could
did
that
this,
have
talk
been?
about that Brink Strike over purification with the slow, right? It is just brutal, even with all the regen, the movability, and all that other
yeah,
stuff.
and it's gonna be Blink Strike plus track, so like that's gonna be awesome damage. I'm
And
excited.
once Hammer of Purity falls down,
Oh,
and it's not going to
that
be
too.
fun. It's not going to
That
be fun.
too.
Oh god,
That
you got
that
Hammer
Yeah,
of Purity. I forgot about that. That's a great new skill
yeah.
too.
pure damage on top of the crits, on top of the Blink Strike damage, on top of purification. It's gonna be a lot of damage.
A little bit of a skirmish going on in the bot lane. Both
Oh,
sides just throwing out a couple spells, but looks like Blop's going to be taking that.
That healing already,
Pretty.
yeah, doing
The
work.
fact that he has insatiable hunger and there is no healing or healing ability on Haru is going to mean that over time, Blop's just going to have a free lane. The laser's going to be annoying, but
laser's always
for how
You can
annoying
long?
play
enough.
around it.
Yeah.
It's not like it's the mid matchup where you just need it to work, right?
So I stand corrected. Good Woman is not abandoning the triple lull talisman. He is still going for it.
Did someone not
Yeah,
read
that's
their
what I was
patch
saying. I
notes?
was like, I don't think this triple mall talisman's the way to go with this battle, but to each
Yeah.
their
Someone
own.
didn't read their patch notes.
Um,
Maybe he assumed that regardless of the change, I still think it's the best build for mid.
Maybe.
To be fair, he is pushing the waves down pretty well, and his farm is up to scratch against Big Tonton. He is a level behind, but the last hits are there, so look at the pressure coming in now. Big Tonton's going to have to stick around for those creeps.
okay,
Looking
so
And
tops.
first
Goblin has
one
the room
goes from
control.
87 to 84, and Firestorm went from 110 to 106. So I'm really hoping that 10 mana enough times is worth that in these nullies.
I guess I'm not convinced, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough.
I mean, you can't be too disappointed in just having raw stats. Like, this is a lot of intelligence going her way. We miss another kill.
I thought they were gonna get the
It
spider.
was
They ended up
not on
getting the
Squishy Spider, but it was
get the
Squishy
lich.
Spider's lane.
Yeah. It's this combo on Maximus. He's got the Soul Ring now, so anytime he feels ready and Fish is right behind him, the jump in and the slow, Fish will get the Spirit Siphon. In fact, it might be... No, my thought's just going to back off. It's just a
Well,
really good aggressive lane that they've got built.
yeah, and now that Spinweb's movement speed is different, like they can slow him down real fast.
Yep. That
Those
first level of
slows
spin
start
revs does
stacking
almost
up.
nothing. It's like 18%.
Yeah, like he's got his brown boots, so great, but you're still a spider, man. You're a spider up against people. That's not great.
Maximus opting for level 2 Purification over the slow. But it doesn't matter because even though, I'm Thor's going to go... Well, he's got level 2 now into the web. So even if the Hammer of Purity does land, he is going to get out of there pretty comfortably now with that extra movement speed. His damage is going to start to stack up, though. The Atrophy Aura is going to start to be kicking in, and the lane's going to lose its kill potential. Oh, curious. Speaking of, though, it looks like, unfortunately, overextended to get that courier kill, and Maximus is going to clean him up one more time on that top lane. And as I said earlier, it was dependent on him getting a very clean farming game, and it already doesn't look like this. Meanwhile, though, it looks like Blob's going to take quite a lot of damage in the bot lane, forced to use Fairy Fire.
The main difference with Blop though is he has a avenue to the jungle very very quickly. Whereas
Yeah.
Well,
Spider has
he's
to
got
reset
insatiable hunger too.
completely. right?
Exactly. He can go to the jungle as soon as the lane becomes too risky to stay in. Can rotate there. They already got wards prepared for him on the high ground, and it just looks like he's going to be
Looks like you're even getting a nice little stack going
relatively
here as
safe.
well.
Cat is saying no in-game sound. FYI.
Okay. I thought I fixed all the technical problems. Thank you, chat.
On this looks dire. The first track comes out. Maximus is going in. There's the slows, and that's going to be a kill. And it looks like Amthor's the next person here on their sites, but I think Fish is going to back off right here. It's both these offlaners with the engagement skills, Blink Strike as well as Phantom Strike. Just they can close the space whenever they feel comfortable with it. There's very little that can be done. I'm going to have to be playing very cautious. Already level 4, and Fish is already at level 5. This is starting to look rather uncomfortable for them. However, it looks like...
So, somehow mid, Death Prophet has out-leveled the Lycan.
The Lycan hasn't been mid in the last little while. I'm not quite sure what's happening,
like
because
almost a
the
whole
army of
level up.
Eidolons is sitting over here doing nothing. And Don's been jumping back and forth between base a lot. And that's allowed the Death Prophet to quite accelerate away here. Was able to reclaim the top spot.
So,
This Null Talisman.
We were bashing on the Null
Talisman for a
Talisman.
reason.
Apparently, he can just sit
He
here
knows.
and do it, and he knows better than we do.
I'm fine with being wrong. It's not a new concept to me.
I'm just...
But I still don't like it.
I'm just so impressed that he didn't think twice about it. He was like, I'm still doing this. I'm Thor getting a lot of damage again. He's already popped his wand. He's trying to run through the trees, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to know. Fish is going to clean him up there with a level 3 on Spirit Siphon. And that's going to be the third death for I'm Thor. Only level 5, while Maximus is level 7, and Fish has just hit level 6. This is going to... It looks like I'm Thor's going to have to find a different lane to go to, but unlike Block, he doesn't really have a way of moving to the jungle quite as easily.
Well, he's got his webs, he's got Feral, so like he should be able to regen through jungling.
The problem is he has to
doesn't do
reset into the jungle, though. Like, where with Glop, he can just run into the jungle at any time. Like, he's abandoning the lane hard and has to reset all of his webs into the jungle at that point.
Yeah.
That's quite a big
costly.
reset, right? It's costly.
But he does have the ability to do it, is what I'm saying. Like, it's not free like it is with Blob, but he does have this way of moving through the jungle. The thing he doesn't have is doesn't have damage. Like, he needs to get last hits to get damage. And he doesn't have a nuke to take the stacks from 0 to
what they
0.
need to be.
Yeah, it's not looking comfortable for him. But meanwhile, Goemon's moving down, looking like he's looking for Blop down there. Blop, however, has got his invis already. So the Sentry War is going to begin. And as Lens Kai-5's the tower, it looks like on the top lane, unfortunately, they did find Anti-Tank left to himself on the top lane.
But, God, they can't even chase down anyone. Oh, there, we finally get a reverse kill. I was going to say, even with the Spider being able to run them down, that's slow, and the stun, they just can't.
Not sure why Maximus went in there. He was very low. I think he was expecting to have a little bit of mana to throw out his purification, but didn't quite get there in time, and shouldn't have lost that kill to lost that life to Iron Thor, but Iron Thor does take that quite happily, and the bot lane tower does get shoved down as Zexar, now level 7 with the black hole ready to go, level 4 on the laser as well. Looking to build a Aghanims. It looks like mid tower also has fallen. Probably this Eidolon push coming out from Big Tonton.
That's the thing with Tonton. You can't even keep an eye on him because he's always just like, half the time he's spending TPing back to base to do all his normal Tinker stuff and then comes out with, 3 or 4 Eidolon wave here really quickly, sends it somewhere, and then I'm just like, where did he go? All right, he's back in base because he's using all his Eidolons to do everything.
Exactly. I'm Thor going on again, getting initiated on again, but Zexar's in the area now. However, Lensk is also there. Looks like Fish is going to be taking a lot of this damage. In fact, I think Fish is going to be falling here, and Haru ending up cleaning this
Oh,
kill.
Spider needed that kill.
Absolutely. He's starting to slowly get back into the game, though.
I'm Thor's going Blood Thor. Orchid. And I really think it's weird that he's buying anything that requires a Void Stone.
Yeah.
He's
Without the mana
spent-
requirement.
He has spent like a grand total of maybe 500 mana all game so far. He has not spent his mana pool worth of mana yet. And I just seems weird to see someone buying a mana item with so little purpose.
Well, he's used his mana now. There's a black hole actually coming out on the top lane, though. Zexar throwing that out. And it looks like there's going to be at least 2 kills. Maximus cleans up Haru, but Imfor does clean up Lensk. But it looks like Maximus is going to be trying to take this return kill. Big Taunton has shown up. He's got his Blink Dagger as well. But I think Imthor and gang have decided to turn it around. Very good use of the black hole, actually. Zexar recognizing that, come back to the top lane. Imthor hasn't had a great lane to start with. Let's get him a kill on top of this. And first black hole being used to guarantee that as well.
Yeah, and he needed that kill.
They're looking for more.
Really
They're
bad.
setting up on the Omni here.
Killing Omni would feel really good. I kind of wish Brew was back up here to help them do it. I don't know.
He is really tanky though. 1200 HP and heal on him as well. In fact, Imthor's taking a lot more damage, and Fish looks like he's going to be cleaning him off. It does!
Oh, Brood, you came and showed up, but not the where I wanted you to.
There are 4 members of Harolds in the top lane, and against the 3 members of No Fish, and 1 member has already fallen from Harolds, and it looks like they're going to get away scot-free. In fact, the rest of No Jungle have shown up. It's like everyone now is in the top lane.
Such a
How are we
scrappy
going to
game.
fall? Yeah. There's the
Oh, what a
Lich
bounce.
ulti, but Lensk is going to fall as well. Grobum does clean up Fish. Block does clean up Grobum in return.
Yes! Enigma's out of there.
Double kill.
Look at this guy. I love this guy.
Blop does get 2 kills there, and it might be that he wants to go for a third. Maximus has plenty of mana. He's quite eager to go in again, and he's going to clean up anti-tank right underneath Imthor's nose, and in fact, he's just going to TP without anything. Imthor has no, like you said,
What's he supposed to do?
No.
He can't do anything.
Oh dear.
I don't like this Orchid choice, because what's he gonna do? Orchid and watch them run away?
I think if with the damage he's got, he doesn't have a slow, but once he does get some other follow-up item secondly, maybe like a basher, I think this Orchid will just stop, for example, everyone from jumping away. There's 2 jumps on the side of No Jungle.
He really could have used an Orb of Corrosion to start with.
I agree. Actually, Orb of Corrosion would have been a sensible choice here. Gives him a little bit of right-click, a little bit of health, a little bit of a slow. It would have been a good build to start with, but
like I said,
he's bought himself some space.
He has ways of getting into the jungle. Like, he can move around very quickly now, and once he has some stacks of Atrophy Aura, he can start getting some real damage done. And he can farm it relatively quickly. His issue is that if he gets gone on, he is dead, and his team has to come and save him forever.
The only thing he really can do is pop the only mana requirement spell he has. Well, Spin Web doesn't count really, but
no,
you
just
pop God's
your
Strength
ult
and go
for
in,
your
and that's
best.
it. Exactly.
And doesn't even have lifesteal yet to really make that add the survivability that he needs.
Exactly.
I think he could have gone an earlier lifesteal item. I think he could have gone the Orb of Corrosion.
Yeah, Orb of Corrosion into Morbid Mask would have been lets him jungle, be a little bit more comfortable with that, has a little bit more sustain, and with a big right click he has. In fact, I think he's going to be got on now. Really aggressive though. Not sure.
That was a little aggressive.
Yeah,
that was a little too aggressive.
Punish him, boys. Go get him.
Harolds do commit 2 ultimates for that. It was the Chain Frost as well as the Black Hole, and it looks like they're going to be trying to take this tower, the second tier 1 tower of the game for them. Do you know what? I think... Oh, they get baited by the illusion, in fact. So that's a little bit of pressure off the tower, funny enough. But
That
Well,
was a
and
lot
they're
to throw
gonna
in an
have
illusion.
constant rearm on the tower for the frost shield.
oh, look at Fish now regenning here. He's got 3 people on the life drain. He's happy to stick around. They're going to clean up Zexar first. Haru looks like the next target, but Pit of Malice is going to stop them. A good triple stun coming out for them as well. But no, not enough really. Maximus cleaning that up. And Maximus has got a ton of gold on him.
I am
Basically on the way to
Thor
his BKB.
did
Echo
not
Saber's
run
finished.
away far enough here. I'm
No.
worried he's dead.
Fish has spotted him, thinking... So he's trying to stick around. Anti-tank's there to help. But Fish is like, okay, I can go for this fight. The Orchid comes out though, and it's good, doing some good work. But the rest of the team is there. I'm Thor,
And squished.
and he does unfortunately fall. Big Tauntaun now returning back, starting to spam the frost armor.
I'm really trying not to be biased in this, but just from I don't like how they overreacted in the draft.
Yeah,
They were way too reactionary to that first pick that they probably weren't expecting. They probably didn't expect the rearm first pick, and that's why they reacted to it so hard. But I feel like they overreacted. They did not make the heroes that they should have made, and I think they're just going to get clobbered by just
We got a pause.
not having the bodies that they need. Like
They're
Ricky
having
and-
ping issues. I'm having ping issues. Dota's having issues. This may be
Of
a
course.
second. What you were
I
saying?
totally agree with what you're saying though. Yeah, there isn't enough follow up. I am Thor doesn't have any sustain for him in the lane. There was no natural healing during the laning phase. There was no stuns. So if they were to initiate on him, everything was falling upon anti-tank's shoulders to mitigate that. At most, he's got a Pit of Malice, and if that didn't stop them, then Iron Thor was going to fall. And now that this pressure is starting to mount for them, I think you're absolutely right. The rearm pick is especially dangerous, and Goem is showing how useful it is. He's got the Guardian Greaves already finished. He's got a Blink Dagger. He's going to be popping in, spawning Eidolons, spamming the creep waves down, putting Frost Shields on minions and teammates. So he's gone for this utility build, which is not typical of the hero originally blessed with rearm, but it is going to be doing a huge amount of help in this laning phase, especially with Maximus and Fish's build of jumping in and being really aggressive. And we saw earlier.
I just noticed March of the Machines is still noted as the Shard. Is March of the Machines still an ability draft?
Yep.
Does he really get it?
Yep. Pretty sure. I don't think that's been
Oh,
switched out yet.
that's fun.
The janitor hasn't done the shard cleanup as they normally do after the patch yet, so I'm pretty sure we're still going to get the old shards.
Lycan has a very wonderful shard build. Kind of surprised he's not queuing it up unless maybe it's on his courier already.
Oh yeah, AoE slow into AoE March of the Machines.
Yeah.
How lovely.
That's gonna be fun.
I hope he realizes he's going. It looks like he's building for an Aether Lens now. As we
yeah, weird. I don't think he needs that.
Releases.
I get why, but you're just so far ahead. I don't think you need it. I think he could go more aggressive. He could be building a sheep stick right now, and he'd get it.
Or Dagon 5. Just why not?
Okay.
You have Leon. Just blink Dagon 5.
Oh my god! Look at all the Eidolon.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. He's just going back and forth between these lanes, creating these Eidolon armies, and then they just appear in lane, and like, this is gone. Goodbye, wave.
Yeah, and the fact that they multiply after a certain number of hits isn't going to help with the numbers.
And then
Look at them
goodbye
go.
tower, right? Like, this is what his strategy is.
I did mention they had some kind of push. Yeah.
And while he's doing that, the
I
other
totally
team
thought
is...
Guardian Greaves was not refreshed by rearm. That's crazy.
The active ability of it doesn't affect heroes who are already affected by it, I believe. Like the same way Mechanism.
It applies an aura that then can't be reapplied.
But
the
as you get
mana,
new
the mana
waves
you
of
get though.
yeah, and then you get new waves of Eidolons too. Oh man, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And as
That's
well,
bonkers.
I believe the Dispel does work. So anytime he gets into a fight, he doesn't feel like he wants to be there. Just Guardian Greaves, Dispel himself, and get out of there.
Yep.
You know, Maximus has gone in, but looks like decided to walk back. There's a Yule's coming out now onto Iron Thor. Looks like Maximus has cleaned up anti-tank on the backside of this.
Where
Zexar still
was
has that
he?
BKB.
Oh, now they're trying to run down the Maximus there. I found him.
Alright, Orchid's coming out on him now. Oh, I think that was a
Oh,
black hole.
yeah,
That
that was a black
was.
hole.
Yeah. They do clean up Maximus. But Woman's taking a lot of pressure here by Blop. The Blop's already used his BKB. He's not going to get it for a little while. That's a really good Frost, Chain Frost.
It's all
Yeah, but the
Eidolons.
spiders ate a lot of damage.
Imthor's still looking for Fish, but Fish is doing so well to juke him out. In fact, goes back in on Haru. Looks like now Imthor is stuck on no man's land. He's going to be trying to TP out, and I don't think they have any way of stopping him, and he does get out totally fine.
If he died there, oh gosh, that would have been very bad. At least
They
now there's
had
someone alive
sinister
to keep
gaze, but
that.
they must not have had vision.
Yeah, they did try and throw a ward up there last minute, and they did get it. But after they got the vision of him, there was no stuns on the side of no jungle to prevent him getting away. This looks like it's going to be a free Roshan. Looks like Goma's going to be coming into TP nearby, but I don't think he's going to be able to contest this. In fact, he's just going for the camps nearby.
Yeah, I really want to come up with a story where Dire wins this. And so far the story is Radiant disconnects because their internet dies.
Which we don't want to happen anyway,
Which
but
we don't want. It's not a good story.
no, yeah. I'm trying to see if there's another way. I think it is really just fully upon Iron Thor's shoulders, and I think if perhaps Anti-Tank and Zexar can find just enough gold to build a couple of more damage-building items, you know, perhaps an Aghanim Shard on Anti-Tank to help with the Chain Frost bounces, or Zexar gets an Aghanim Scepter to get the additional Black Hole damage, but
another problem with the Broodmother is that she's got no wave clear, so she can't actually fight the Eidolon army. It will just kill her.
In fact, it looks like a big Tauntaun and Fish have decided to tell Imthor to go home. I think he knows he can TP, but there's the Yules. And now he's going to find a way to walk away. I think he's content to just hitting Fish, and I think that's just going to be the end of him. Yep. Slow but painful death.
Yeah, this... I don't even know what Broodmother can do at this point to come back online.
Meanwhile, look at Blop's build. He's got Manta, BKB finished, Orb Corrosion in shreds. He's looking to try and build his MKB. And level 17 is... No, that's pushing this tower. I don't think there's any way they can contest what Maximus's build is also incredible.
So, we see that we have Big Tauntaun, hasn't died. Blop, hasn't died. Maximus, died a few times, doesn't care. 12 kills, 8 assists.
He's just going in. It doesn't matter whether he dies or not. He's going to grab as much attention as he can, while Blop goes behind everybody under invis and cleans up anyone he finds unsuspectingly. And they're going to keep pushing now. This tier 2 is going to fall. This is something we see in the group stage, where once No Jungle feels like they've got the advantage, they eliminate all your outer towers and they force you to play inside your base until they are absolutely ready to take your rags.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, Radiant had, Dire had, like, a tier 1 not very long ago, and then we just saw him, you know, they came in with the Eidolons, cleaned up tier 1, cleaned up tier 2, rotated, cleared up another tower. And now
And he's not even using them
Dire is
effectively. Like,
stuck.
they're sitting around mid doing nothing right now.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he's
half of the
not
game, they're
microing
just
well.
sitting around. So, like, he
They're
can't
just
micro
standing
these
there.
very well as well. And he's still pushing them down lanes like crazy. Not to say I'd be doing any better personally. I fucking suck at micro.
Yeah, he's he's microing them 50% at best,
He
but it
doesn't
doesn't
need to.
matter. They're
He
He doesn't
doesn't
need
so
need to
far
to.
be
ahead.
100% efficient,
The
yes.
Eidolons are standing there menacingly.
They're just an intimidation factor at this point.
Exactly.
Oh, look at this Ricky getting chased down by ghosts.
Maximus absolutely
Little purple
shreds
ghost.
Haru. Yeah. I don't know how they even clear out Maximus, much less the rest. It looks like they're going to go onto Blop. There is an E-Blade, though, on Gerwelman. It does prevent Blop from jumping in too confidently. But how do they stop this push? Like, we talked about the wave clear, and they do have Firestorm. They do have the Crypt Swarm. They do have Laser, but...
Problem is Firestorm and Crypt Swarm are on the same hero. So that's one hero pushing one wave with two of their wave clears.
Yeah. The big issue is, if oh, as I saw, Fish decides to go on Fish. Fish decides to go on anti-tank, but doesn't end up committing. If Big Tonto decides to just split push one lane, and they all push on the rest, they're forcing Goen to make a very difficult choice. Do you defend against the million army of Eidolons that are pushing one lane, or do you fight with your team against the rest?
You can't,
once
because even if you try to defend against the Autolon army, it's not like a normal wave. They're not just going to stand there and take it. You're going to walk them, well, at least I'm going to say this, you should just walk them out of Firestorm.
yeah.
In which case, now you've wasted that entire wave push on nothing.
No,
And
exactly.
then he just rearms and has more.
So it's going to be putting so much pressure on Gerwelman to try and find more wave clear. I think they really need another hero to build wave clear on it. But Imthor doesn't really have the time. He needs this BKB to finish, and he needs that to be done as soon as possible. And even then...
It's done right now. Speak of the devil.
Yeah.
This is the time. They feel
Ooh,
it. He's
Aegis
strong.
expires.
Aegis
Yeah.
expires. The BKB's up. They
This is a
smoke
perfect
out.
timing. Zexos got his Aghanims as well. So if they find a pick off here on one of the big cores, if they find they find Blop, or if they find I don't know how they're gonna find Big Tonton.
They
But if they
need to
manage
find Blop. That's the key to all this, because he's been going around behind the lines and finding the Green Frost, finding the Black Hole, and killing them before they're ever able to use them. And they're
they might
going
be
to
able to
be the
spot him.
key to winning this game, big time.
Haru does find him. Here comes the silence. And the BKB is popped. Are they going to throw the black hole? And Zexa does throw that there. But it haven't managed to kill him still. He does manage to dodge into it. And it looks like Big Tonto's going to get a kill instead. Blop does finally fall, but... In fact, there's going to be another cleanup. Gurman gets another kill here. And Gurman's taking a lot of damage now. Max is going to be cleaning him up now. Two fallen for either team here, but... In fact, No Jungle loses a second. Fish does fall. Imthor taking a lot of damage from Maximus, but Zexa with the laser. Big Tonton does have so much sustain, though. And Zexa recognizes the need to escape here, and as Imthor falls... Antidank also falling to Maximus, and yeah.
That
He
went
was lucky to
so
get it out of
horribly
there.
wrong because of the outpost. That's the only reason that went so bad. All of No Jungle TP'd in the second Blop got jumped on. And right next door, right next to the outpost there.
Yeah. Blop barely survived that gank, but even if he did, if their team wasn't there, he would have done a lot less in that fight. And now tier 3s are starting to take a lot of damage. Looks like Zexar's going to be trying to clear out this wave with the laser, and the laser does come out. The Aghanim's laser is going to be doing a lot of help here. It looks like No Jungle back off for now. Roshan respawning in under a minute. Expecting No Jungle. 27k gold ahead, though. No Jungle probably going to be picking up this next Aegis and using that to rip racks out.
Yeah, as you said that, it went up to 28k at 29 minutes. That's a pretty good lead.
Yep. And looks like Gerwoman, unfortunately, is going to be falling to the onslaught that is Maximus and Big Tonton. Yep.
And then that brings them over to 30k at 29 minutes. They're now making over 1,000 gold a minute as a team.
Yeah, Maximus is having such good fun with this hero. He can engage on anyone he likes. He's got his Satanics. He's got a Purge. He's got some healing. There is really nothing he's afraid of to jump into at this point.
No, because like, what's the worst that happens? So he dies, and the rest of his team cleans everything up.
And that's a huge problem. Look at him now. He's just diving under 4 members right underneath, and he's not taking any damage.
He's got the
Yeah.
3.5
Satanic now.
HP.
He pops that, he won't take any damage at all.
He's so brave now. He doesn't need to fear anything. Under tier 3s with 3 members of the team around them, and he still jumps into them. He doesn't really have any qualms about that at all. And instead, he's going to take a tier 1 on his own in the top lane as a bot lane Eidolon massive army.
All 3 lanes. Like, I can't watch them. Blob's taking mid, Eidolon's bottom, Omni top. Like, you. This is the thing we were talking about. Like, there's just this overwhelming thing that's going to happen at some point here, and this is it.
And what looked like a 3v1 against Fish turns into a 20v1 as Fish and the Eidolons clean the rest.
Oh, there's the Firestorm. Finally. Oh, that feels good. That's so much gold.
Yeah, he definitely felt the ka-ching on that one.
Meanwhile,
but again,
Blop and Maximus decided that the racks at the top lane and the mid lane have gone. So the entire time while Harulds is trying to defend the bot lane against the rest of the 3 members of No Jungle, 2 racks lanes have fallen, and now that Blopper is here and Maximus is here, the kills start to fall in and down they all go. I think there is nothing that can stop this man. I am Thor, you are exactly right. As the last racks of this game fall, I think Harulds... Not sure how they're going to get out of this one.
Yeah, well, I am surprised we haven't seen the GG call, to be
at this
honest.
point, I would just be GGing out and thinking about the next game.
I think that's probably what they're trying to do. They know they don't have a mulligan to use, so they're probably trying to rethink what their plan of attack is and their strategy is for the next game. But we're going to have to see where that draft leads to. I think they're not willing to let this game go without another fight.
Yeah, they're going to try.
BKB's popped. I'm taking a lot of damage from that Blop's invis. In fact, he's probably going to fall even on that BKB. Gerwoman falling as well. The slows come out. Zexar using the laser, but there's nothing else he can do. It's all on Haru.
Go get him, Wolfie.
Maximus
just deleted.
With extreme prejudice, just cleans
Goodbye.
up another
smack,
big...
Smack! Eat my hammer!
And yeah, Big Ton's going to end this game without a kill, without a death, and Maximus going to end this game with 20 kills under his belt. Game 1 going rather convincingly to No Jungle.
I mean, yeah, kind of, like I said, it's what I was concerned about in the draft, right? It's they overreacted to a pick, and they didn't make the bodies they needed, because they have very not great bodies with Brood and Ricky. Those are not the bodies you want to have. And I just, like I said, I don't think they built the heroes those bodies needed.
Those bodies definitely hit the floor. And yeah, I think definitely the draft was a lot weaker than what Harolds would have liked. Didn't really like the first draft either, as their mulligan already been used, but no. A lot of control coming out of the No Jungle that game, yeah.
Alright guys, we're going to throw it to a break here, and we'll be right back as we move to get into the lobby for the second game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the second game here, and we get into the draft. We remind that Radiant this time, which is the Heralds, have used their mulligan. I believe I haven't confirmed that 100%, but I'm pretty sure that was them this time, so they will not have that to go with again. And we do see that they have maybe just been cursed with the Brood Mother this series,
Oh, bless them.
or blessed, depending on how you look at it. The
We were
Dota
just talking
gods
like
are fun that way.
yeah, Chicken and I were just discussing. I mean, the draft and the item builds were quite questionable coming out of Harolds. We wasn't sure whether we did discuss whether or not after Feral Impulse was picked up, why not pick up the Spiderlings like to buff your minion damage, but instead have gone for the God Strength and Sven Ultimate. Um, we're hoping that this will be the maybe a little bit of nerves out of the first game coming out from Harolds. We'll see what they've got in store next for us in this second game.
Here's
Um,
hoping they
but
beat it back
coming
and we
out,
get an amazing game 3 out of that here.
fingers crossed.
All right, so we're right off the top. We see them taking a really nice power move with Burrow Strike. They want the aggression. They were on defense all of last game. So I like that they're taking these skills that are going to get them in there, get in their faces, and try and put up a fight.
So I'm looking at the new Curse of Avernus as that's got an additional buff to it with the shard.
The shard will more than likely not be in it, as the janitor has not cleaned up the shards yet for
I
ability
think it is
draft
there.
after
It
the patch
says
passed.
miscoil to deal Abaddon's attack damage on impact, increases Curse of Avernus. So it does look like they have added that shard to
Yep. This is
the
always
Curse
the
of
wonderful
Avernus.
thing where I get to go
Yeah,
through and
whether
test
or not.
all of these things and see whether they actually are there and work, and whether they're not there and work, and whether there's entire missing abilities in the pool and all
Yeah.
that fun stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, so I really like this Invoker's play. Invoker's spells are very expensive,
Stupidly
and they usually
expensive.
have a lot of cooldown.
yeah,
Combining that with chakra magic, very cool.
Next level. The whole
yeah.
idea of
Especially because he was
unlimited mana and cooldown reduction. Yeah,
yeah.
yes, please.
I forgot that we have cameras on during the draft, so I
Nope, I
apologize to
switched to
everybody.
that.
Everybody sees me eating lunch.
You're saved. Looks like Invoker. Actually, fortunately, he was the last pick as well, so I was able to pick those two skills up completely uncontested as well. And looks like Blop's going for. I'm guessing would have been if he gets a skewer, he's basically building Magnus already with shard from the last patch. So I would like him to pick up skewer just because that'll be the exact same build that we saw Team Spirit win TI with. So combining a skewer with dispose.
So this
That
is
feels
really
awesome.
cool. So Marana has two things that are going to be amped up by agility. All she needs to do is build agility, and both of these passives are going to go on fire. What I don't want to see is her pick up a bunch of really passive things at this point. I want to see her get something that lets her be a little bit more active. There is not a lot of active left out there. So I don't know what she's going to pick.
But
Insatiable
we
Hunger
don't
to me
see
looks
Dini
good.
another Insatiable Hunger Classic Finale pick on top of Fish there, is what we're trying to say. Four
That
passives,
would be
no.
great.
Bad.
So like
I'm
Abaddon,
yeah,
once
I am
again,
Force
I
looks
am
great.
for, but once again, he doesn't pick anything but right click.
Yeah,
And I'm really worried that, like, right click's great after 35 minutes and you have a ton of items. But
But
if you
the
just
games haven't
die a
been
bunch
getting
of
there.
times in lane,
Yeah, the games haven't been
like
getting to
last
35
time,
minutes.
I don't
To the
know.
point this shard change to 15 minutes is probably one of our biggest impacts to the way that these games have been running for the series in general.
absolutely,
Sometimes I've
absolutely.
been like, "Oh, we're gonna get no, we're well into 15 minutes here, not 20. Okay, maybe we won't get shards this game."
Yeah. especially because you can pick skills that have multiple shard buffs.
Yep.
So it doesn't even just buff your hero by a factor of 2. It buffs it by something more like 5 or 6 times better than what it was originally. Of every skill getting huge impact. I
But
would
then they
have liked
also have
Ironfall to go
synergy
for
together for their sometimes shards aspect as well
exactly.
that
No,
can even,
exactly.
multiply that again even further kind of thing. So it is a
Becomes
huge power spike.
Iron
exactly.
Thor is guaranteed taking shapeshift here, right?
I expect so.
Yeah.
I would have liked rearm. I would have liked not rearm. Sorry, I would have liked relocate because it means that for every fight he can just TP in and engage in the combat. And if it becomes too risky, he could just try and buy some time and then get out of there scot free. I would have liked to have him to
So
have that kind of little bit more playstyle to it.
I completely agree, and I didn't expect that to happen because of how he built
Yeah,
last game.
yeah.
I don't know. I think that these core players that are just thinking, I need 4 core abilities, you end up, I don't get me wrong, I am
Oh
just as
no.
guilty of it, but you end up just getting stuck and then you die. And you're like, oh
Oh,
crap, I've died a bunch of times. I need to be farming.
chicken. I hate to interrupt you, but take a look what Maximus has picked up. Unleash and spirits, as well as spin web. When he gets Aghanims, because that is definitely what he's going to be building, Io's going to be such a chore to deal with. He's going to have no pathing issues. He's going to have an invisibility. He's going to have spirits flying around him constantly. And if he ever decides to pop his ultimate with Aghanims, every spirit's going to blow up like in an unleash. That's going to be horrendous to play against.
Yeah, and that's where like I agree. I like Io's build. He's
Io's
got the
build is great.
sandstorm. Well, sandstorm with spirits is just hilarious by itself. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it gives you a way of where you are in the sandstorm, but you're still invisible, and they still have to walk through a bunch of spirits to get to you.
And do they have abilities that catch just in an AoE? They have Skewer and Burrow Strike on Haru. They do have Sacred Hour as well, and Nether Blast on Go Woman. So there are some abilities for them to catch him. So it's not going to be so useful after he gets an Ags. But I'm expecting once he does get the Ags, he's going to be nigh unkillable.
Um, I think that the caustic finale and cleave on Abaddon is redundant. I feel like one of those 2 skills could have been replaced with something a little bit more active.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I wish he'd gone for the Curse of the. Excuse me, I'm trying to find the name of this skill. The Abaddon's normal Q skill. I would have liked if he had picked that up instead.
oh,
Miscoil,
swapping
because
broken.
No,
We're
they
getting a
probably
message.
ran into the swap bug where now because they accepted, because everyone's swapping around, if they
yeah,
accept at the same time, they need to re-swap all the heroes around. So this may take a second for them to get on the heroes they want. I politely reminded them as well that they now have the option to do the disabled player shuffling, which can help solve this swapping issue of getting everyone onto the right positions they want to play, but ultimately you still gotta move the build to the person that wants to play it. So this is where these high level
ah.
ability draft players will often swap this stuff all around quite extensively.
So chicken, could you guess what Go Woman's going to be building in this mid lane?
Let me see here.
Have a look what he's queued up. I'll
I'm
give
pretty
you a
sure he
hint.
does this every single
Guvna?
game.
It
Hmm.
rhymes with 2 null talismans.
It rhymes with 2 notes.
It's not 4 null talismans.
It's somewhere between
It's
2 and 4 null talismans.
that's
Somewhere
right.
in between.
It's 3 wraith bands. No, 3 null talismans it is. And Go Woman, I'm only more impressed by his playstyle. I think it's so much more relaxing when you can play a game of ability draft in Dota and never have to worry about your first 5 minutes building. Just farm.
Because
I know exactly what I'm getting. I don't ever have to worry. Just farm.
get an Intiro, get null talismans, buy
Get,
boots.
win game.
It's the okay way of starting the game. I mean, I still
Yeah.
don't know if I agree with it, but
There's
There's
this
I don't
law
think
of
it's a bad.
averages that
Yeah,
comes in eventually where it says, like 50-50, you gotta win with it. So if he just runs it all the
true.
time,
We could see the
eventually he's
stats from
gonna win.
last game, from last patch. We have a look at the stats and see just how many games has that build won. I'd be interested to see his Dota buff. How many Nose Palismans are in the first 3 item slots in his last 1,000 games?
There you go, chicken. There's something you can look up for us.
um
You know how to do this. I showed you this the other day. Don't you dare give me that crap.
Meanwhile, it looks like Big Tonton is going to be going for that Aghanims as the first item in the mid lane. So
Is there anything
entirely
else that
expected
you
here.
would get? Like, it's just the item. Like, I can't think of another thing I'd rather have with that build.
Dagon afterwards.
Maybe?
So you get your Aghanims, you pop your Unleash, you Dagon them. I guess after that, I would probably be expecting something like an Octarine, so he can do it more often. That's pretty much what I'm expecting out of him here. And yeah, he's just going to play like any Sand King mid, go invis, push the wave out, force Gorman to contest the range creeps. Good deny though, coming out early.
Mm-hmm. If you don't get that off in just the right place, it'd be kind of annoying that it's now situated for 25 seconds in just the wrong place for you there.
okay, so I looked up the wrong person, so this is gonna be a slight blunder.
Brilliant.
You said Big Tauntaun like 3 times
I
after I
did.
started the search.
After I mentioned Go Woman.
Oh,
And then you
chicken.
said Gurwum again, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to be looking up? I'm looking up the wrong guy.
So I like this build in the bot lane. It's basically Warlock with Pounce on anti-tank with Imthor farming. So going to be a nice typical sustain in the bot lane, and Imthor's going to have a little bit of a better time this go around, especially because Maximus doesn't have such a obviously difficult thing to dodge. He's got Illuminate, which is very obvious. He's standing in the middle of the lane, and he's standing still, and there's a whooshing sound, so you know what's coming.
All
However,
right.
it's going to be Lensk is going to be the difficult one to deal with.
So I'm looking up the bunch of last matches on Dota Buff, and I'm not seeing these nullies that he's buying today.
Okay, are those matches with an int hero? Because if he's picking this with a
Most of
strength
them are
hero,
not.
I want to know.
Most of them are not, but I don't have an easy
Okay,
way of filtering it down just to
I
interior.
think
Go
that's
through
fine as long as
the
it's not.
winrun.io and find them specifically, chicken. I showed you how to do that yesterday or the day before. You can now go search for any person you want to.
Okay, it looks like, in fact, it looks like Gurman's doing a lot better in this time around in the mid lane than last game. Big Tonton's actually falling quite behind on last hits, and that's because Gurman's going to have Pugna's
Nether
Nether
Blast.
Blast. Yeah,
That is
Well,
a
and this
great
Pugna
or
farm
denies on
spell.
him as well.
I like Pugna as a right-clicking body when, like, for getting the basic last hits. His damage is not bad, and because of his high int, it's gets up there pretty fast. So,
Yep.
like, if you're looking at the damage right now, 78 damage versus 62. And, you know, they're not really, none of them are really building a lot of items. Like, yeah, we got 2 nullies and, like, the other stuff versus 1 bracer.
You mean 3 nullies?
2.5 at the time.
It's
Got
3
his
now.
triple nullies, though. Still sitting at only 78 damage, though. Getting the third Null Talisman does not increase your damage at all because of what it provides you, whereas the Bracer would.
So an interesting interaction in the bot lane there, just to kind of point it out to you guys. We know Iron Thor is going to get healed up by an anti-tank with the Shadow Word, or whenever Iron Thor tries to buff himself with Empower, Lens can just throw out that Tornado and deny any of that buffs that he puts on
Yeah.
himself.
Yep.
This is what
There's
I
going to
was
be a
saying
little
why
bit
I
of
really
chippy.
like to start.
Ooh.
Oh, of course, we missed First Blood.
No, we're
And
talking
of course,
about
it's
bottom.
on the Spider. Poor Spider.
Bless Spider.
So that's what I was saying before. Usually, Invoker's spells are hard to cast because they have long cooldowns and really high mana costs. But he's putting 1 point into Tornado, 2 points into Chakra because he doesn't care how strong Tornado is. He just wants to cast it more often. Like
Yeah,
that.
level 1, it's not too bad, to be honest. He doesn't really need more points in it for now. It's just a really useful skill to
Spider
make
came
Amthor's
mid.
life as sweaty as possible. And it looks like Haru's going for the kill on Big Tauntaun, and it's going to get him, actually. Good
Nice.
call
Good
out on that.
spider. I love Spider's build this time. Burrow Strike Skewer seems just fun as fuck.
I like
Especially with
this.
RP. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, you guys are laughing at that. I want this meteor to keep raining down on people here.
I,
Just
I
burrow
think it'd be
strike
great.
in into reverse polarity and meteor
Yeah.
that entire thing. And
Well,
that sounds awesome.
we have to assume he's gonna go Shard, then he's gonna have Horn Toss, get the
Yep.
extra meteors, like
Yeah.
for a Broodmother body, this is the type of build you want. Something where you can just be active, playing around, you don't have to sit around and farm. I like this. I like this a lot better.
And the thing is, he can make this really, really painful. If you will blink in Burrow Strike to start with, throw a tornado in the direction you want to skewer them to, then RP and then skewer them across the tornado. That's gonna be. I think
There's
that's gonna be his
definitely some
max
cool
damage
combos.
combo. Yeah, I
The
want to see what Haru
shockwave
can
in
pull
this
out.
lane is not to be underestimated as well. That pullback is really annoying to deal with here with all the other sort of aggressive movement stuff that's coming out of this lane too.
I haven't seen the new Shockwave eggs. Does anybody know if it's good?
It's got its uses. It basically is a micro version of the Elder Titan ultimate. It looks like they're gonna try and put Blop under the tower. He's taking quite a lot of damage. He's trying to right click himself to heal, but like Zexal's got a shield and Blop's just man fighting against Haru. In fact, it looks like Haru's gonna fall first.
Blop just needed to get out of tower range. As soon as he was out of tower range, he turned and fought.
Yeah. Those 3 points into Sexual Hunger and a double points in Feral with Pulse. That's a lot of right click damage. And with the 2 Wraith Bands. Oh, it was very close. He had to pop a Fairy Fire to continue the sustain, but he did clean him up much instead.
So chat agrees that I am bad at research, as I have stated, and that Jerwoman definitely buys tons of novels.
Yep.
It's like,
I
Haru
told you
gonna go
where
in
to
the bot
go
lane.
and
There's
where
a
to look
skewer
at
in
this
the bot
stuff,
lane.
and then you go to Dota buff.
Lent's gonna fall
Someone
under the
said Dota
tower.
buff, so that's where I went. I'm a dumb. I don't deny this.
Looks like they're gonna block off anti.
Oh!
Oh, nice! Well played.
That was sick! I mean, it's not sick enough, but that was sick.
It was the smart play. He did get trapped, and he was patient about the tether, but it didn't
Hell,
work
they
out too
could have
well for him.
trapped themselves in there very easily with that creep wave, and that could have been him walking away there. So that was the
He
hell
was
play.
trapped. Yep. Unless he had done that at exactly the timing he did, he was going to get trapped there.
That was
And
cool.
that was well done, but
Yeah, but even
no
baited
cigar,
their creep
unfortunately.
wave in, so he could have actually trapped Radiant in there as well, as in, they would have had to nuke down a tree
Oh,
or something like that.
if he had done that, that would have
Yeah,
been
and
that would
then
have
he
been
could have just
the
walked away
cheese.
scot-free, and that would have been epic.
Yeah.
Would have been the play of the entire thing right there.
Well, it looks like Blop's got his ultimate now ready to go. So marksmanship, right click, and this is going to be. Oh, look at the damage! Zexar are going to have to play a little bit careful here. Haru's back in the lane, but no, I think Blop's going to be deadly now. He looks like he's going to be building for the Hurricane Pike straight away, as he doesn't really have any other skills to get him out of danger. Big Tonton has fallen quite far behind. If you look at the mid lane, Gorman is miles ahead. The 3 talismans coming, it's so useful here. And I say that completely unironically. Just injury
good deny,
yeah. I was about to say insult to injury. I was going to say if Gorman did get that, that would have been.
Yeah, that was a sick play on the IO.
I do like that this is the lane up though, because you can't just spam spiders into that, because then they're just going to get eaten by everything IO is doing. Right? His,
Exactly.
spirits, which he hasn't leveled yet, but the Sandstorm is level 4, so it's just going to eat those spiders, even if he wants to throw stuff in there to get them. He can't.
Yeah. I think his build is, it's really dependent on him getting max points in spirit and his ultimate, but I get why he hasn't chosen to done that yet, because there's no reason to. His Aghanims doesn't come on for another 2k. Meanwhile, it looks like we have a big engagement on the bot lane. It looks like Haru's going to have fall to NJ.
The second
Lance
blob
clearing
shows up, they run.
Oh! The tornado just falls short, just barely in front of where Anti-Tank was trying to escape from.
He had
I
elite
wonder why
PBO cap.
Io doesn't have a point in his ultimate yet.
I
I
don't think he
feel
has
like
any abilities that
Unleash
would
is
use
really
it.
good. But
Um,
isn't Unleash just good? Am I wrong?
no, it is. It is. I think he's just maybe he just rather have the extra point in. Yeah, no, no. Now, okay, going to first point in spirits instead of ultimate is questionable.
Now,
I
Chicken,
get the
we've
404.
had this conversation before in other games where we've looked at this and said, why are you not taking this alt? And today we may finally be able to get an answer, as we may be able to get some of these guys on the horn for a winners interview and be able to ask them these
Yeah,
questions.
like the
That's
Spirits
true.
level 1 instead of Unleash level 1. That seems weird. Also being told chat says no in-game sound still. I don't know what we're doing wrong here.
Hmm. Hmm. According to my output, it is coming in. It's just really quiet.
Maybe turn it up.
Okay, I'll turn it up.
What's your in-game Dota sound set to? Check your in-game. Whoa!
It's full. I balance all that for the mixer.
We got no delay.
I do love this tether
All right.
coming out of
Oh, we got a
the
level in
Magnus Cameron.
Unleash.
Being able to just sit there and tether up the invoker while casting the illuminate from behind him, and if there's any kind of engagement, he's got dispose to grab someone. That's just
I
so
love
hard to fight
Dispose.
into.
Is he going Aether Lens? Oh, he's going Guardian. I hope he goes Aether Lens. Dispose Aether Lens is one of the funniest things to see. And I try to imagine it, because Dispose is her giving you a suplex. So that means when she has Aether Lens, she basically is Stretch Armstrong. Because she gets to stretch her arms 250 more points to grab you for the suplex. I love it.
That's
Just
kind of funny,
the,
actually.
the imagery in my head is hilarious.
It's like the video on Reddit about Rubik with stolen dispose. It can
Oh my
grab you like
god.
an ultimate from miles and miles away. I'll be coming out
Literally
actually on the
across the
bot
map.
lane. An anti-tank responds with the chaotic offering. Tornado does catch two, and looks like there's an ultimate come out from
Oh, they're going
Fish.
back in.
And the dispose coming out there. Haru does squish the bug.
Force fire.
Maximus actually taking that kill. And the mechanism is going strong. He does have that tether as well, so this is going to be tether and tether with chakra magic in the same lane is actually going to be incredible because you can every time you buff your friend, you buff yourself.
Yep.
They're going to look for another kill. Looks like that's going to be disposed first. The slow to come out. But I think he's going to get away okay. Tornado, perhaps? Deciding not to throw it out there. The whole team showing up. Except for I'm Thor, who is very low on the top lane there, but he does have an armlet. It looks like No Jungle's going to back off.
All the while mid.
All right, so we do see Dire doing a big invade in here. They don't have a creep wave yet, but it's only a tier 1, so they could probably just tank it and take this tower.
Yeah, they don't have enough bodies in the bot lane to fight this out. There's one person in the mid lane and one person at the top. So they're just going to let tier 1 fall.
Ooh,
Big Tonton, meanwhile, finishing his Aghanims. It's coming out to him now.
Piranha, it's 770 range. That's decent. Like that.
Yep, picking up the Dragonlance, able to hit an extra bit of distance.
So I really like this because in this game, I feel like there's paths where both teams have roads to victory. This seems much more balanced than game 1. I'm really excited. I'm hoping we're going to get a game 3 out of this.
Looks like No Jungle with the advantage, though, as we enter the mid game. And I don't know, I'm looking at Bop's damage. It's sitting comfortably at about 210 damage right click. And just glancing at Anti-Tank's health, under 1k, it's going to be a bit uncomfortable for them if Blop ever decides to show up for a fight, or rather uncomfortably if he does get the wraparound on them. So DD does spawn the bot lane, which doesn't spell too good. I'm wondering if they're leaving that for Blop himself. Like he is going to come around for it. So that's going to be 300 damage.
Definitely makes sense on Blob.
Yeah, so that's an easy
Almost 4.
360. Yeah. And
Oh,
they do
plus she's
become
gonna have
markets.
Insatiable.
And
Easily 4.
overcharge. 3 hits a tower. Finds Haru. The first hit comes out. Here's the RP.
Oh!
They know who the target
The other
is,
one's down.
Oh
and they
man, if
put
they can
Oh,
get
everything
Blob
on
out of the fight
Mirana.
early, this is
look
gonna
at
be
Blob's
huge.
health. Look at him heal
The
up.
heals!
Oh,
Oh, the
MVP
man
Oh
Invoker
DD.
my
right
god,
there.
that was amazing.
Oh dear.
MVP Invoker right there. Wow. Saving the Mirana.
That they were on top of that.
Blob, once he pops Insatiable Hunger with DD and right click, with 2 right clicks and he'll be at full health anyway. This is just. They had to get all the healing on, and yeah, Lens get just enough to keep him alive for that duration. But this is the problem now. Tonton's got Aghanim's, so every time Unleash is off cooldown, these spirits are going to be exploding like the force of the sun.
I'm looking forward to seeing this. I actually haven't seen
I
this
love
yet.
Spirits Agnums. So good. Okay, so what does the Unleash Agnums do? Reduces cooldown by 10. Okay, so just reduces cooldown by 10 in this case. I'm
Uh,
assuming only Marcy's abilities proc the second part.
Maybe, maybe not. That's one I haven't actually tested.
I feel like it should proc for the spirits, but I think this is the interaction I'm hoping to see. Because if it does, this is exploding orbs with extra explosions.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
I don't think that any of that would work because I mean everything else in Dota it's always like hero specific stuff when it says abilities. It's not just like right
Okay.
clicks.
So it could
Um
be just
It's just
specific to
how
Marcy.
Dota words
Yeah.
stuff because they never say this hero. It's always worded as, like Bloodseeker gains this. Well, that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that it just applies to Bloodseeker, and, in classic Dota case, there's always an exception to
yeah,
every rule they decide to make, and, Zeus in
I
this case seems to be that exception.
yeah, I doubt that the things would make Unleashed
Oh, let's
pulses.
watch. Oh, it's very
Okay,
hard
so
to tell
the
in that
orbs don't make
interaction.
it false, but
No,
yeah,
I don't think
I think it's
so.
his right click that does.
Yeah, like if you had Dispose or the jump or something, it'd be different.
This is Gabe Newell. Thanks for playing Dota 2. Double kill.
Well, they're not gonna catch him. It's the werewolf.
It's another couple kills on Lensk, but I'm thought running away now. And yeah, this is what we've seen in the group stage. Every time No Jungle feel confident with their lineup, with their draft, and they start to get the little bit of that gold advantage, that team fight advantage, where it's clear that they're going to win these fights, they start mowing down towers. They don't want any towers left. They want to play on their opponent's side of the map until they decide to finish the game.
And I like
And it
to
looks
point
like
out that, it wasn't that long ago, 15 minutes, it was still 3-4 at a very even gold split, and now it seems to be accelerating away quite quickly. And a lot of that has to come down to those timing of those items that we've seen now picked up.
Yeah,
indeed.
like this has all really come. This advantage has really only come from like one or two team fights. Another one or two team fights the other direction could easily put it in favor of Radiant.
And Go Woman has the damage. The 3-0 talisman still there.
Like when
Zexa's
we're
trying to go
looking
for
at the
the
net
second as
worth,
well. Yeah.
like when we're looking at the net worth right now, Abaddon's still at the top, and with Abaddon's build, that's where you want him to be. Um, Now he doesn't have a ton of damage yet, though. He's really only got this armlet. He's gonna have BKB, which is huge.
Trade a top for a bottom, that's at least something here.
Slowly losing their map control, but the wards are pretty fierce on the side of the jungle here from No Jungle. And they're going to be starting knocking on that bot Rax. Zex in the area. And look at Blop. He doesn't really... Oh, actually, there's the the dispose. Really long range dispose. In fact, he's still getting pushed down the stairs here.
Yep.
And there's the Aghanim's net by... I want to say... not Fish. Maximus, in fact, I think. No. Who does have the net? It's Big Tauntaun. Big Tauntaun with the Aghanims actually does buff up the spin web, but it doesn't actually say that you get this extra ability.
A net?
Yeah,
I
so
didn't see.
if you look in the bot lane, we got these little kind
The
of walls
spider,
in
right?
front.
The spider
Yeah,
walls? Yeah.
Oh.
This is part of the
but I'm not
spider
sure that's a
ags
visual
upgrade.
bug.
Maybe it's part of the upgrade here. I'm gonna say, I didn't think spin webs have any upgrade. It could
First,
just be a visual bug. That's one hell
first
of a
kill
fight
going
here.
there. Looks like 2 buybacks, in fact, coming out from Harulds. They're wanting to defend this tower. You know what? I don't think it's a visual bug. I actually think Big Tauntaun has the
No,
ability.
it's Pugna. It's Pugna.
Yep, Pugna's got it. Because it's connected to the alt, the
'Cause
spawn
it's connected to the
spiderlings.
spider.
I see. Oh, that's
That's
a
how
really
that
interesting
generally works.
interaction. Okay. And they're going to get rooted now. So it must require the webs coming out from Big Tauntaun in order for
honestly don't know.
Goat Woman to use the net
I
himself.
honestly do not know how that works. I have never gotten it. I love spin webs and spiders, but I've never gotten the
Spider snare.
web trap.
Yeah, that's
So the
definitely
interaction
new.
is with the latest patch, the spider snare allows you to put the snare on any spider web on the map without range restriction. So the interesting interaction is here. Big Tauntaun's the one who's putting down the nets, but
Going for
you're
movement.
giving Go Woman, you're giving Go Woman the ability to put snares wherever you want to go. So
The ability doesn't say it has to be on a web.
I've only seen them on webs so far, though, so unless
I'm just
haven't
saying,
been
I don't
seeing it.
know. I'm just
yeah,
letting
it
you
can
know
be cast
that.
from anywhere as long as it touches an existing web.
Oh, where do you see? Oh, okay.
It is a big
Weird.
block of text. So
It's a
yeah, this is a
giant
really
wall of
interesting.
text. Giant wall of text.
Oh, unfortunately, Gurman's going to get caught with that, and this Disposer's going to end up with this kill. He does have buyback. And it looks like someone has picked up the shard for the Shockwave on Zexar. Actually, it says the Aghanims is finished on him, so that's what's proccing that. Gurman decides to do buyback. The Rax is falling, though, very quickly with Blob's right-click.
Yeah, Blop does so much damage.
Arrow comes out and misses. And they're going to find Go Woman. Looks like Fish is charging up the ultimate, and he does go in with this. Haru unable to jump out of there. Anti-tank falling as well. Zexar getting low.
Io. Yeah, this Io does a ton of damage, too.
It's like they're going to be able to sustain it, but the Rax is regenning, so they're not going to be able to take the second one, so they do leave it with one Rax down. And where did the creep wave go? Thor just... I don't know how he walked past them to just go for the creep wave, but he has. And he's cleared it out pretty far.
Somehow... I don't know what happened where I didn't
How did
notice
he
it
get
either.
there?
He went
got
all the way
over
around
there.
the long way. And he's the true hero because, again, that would be knocking on the door right there, taking that if he didn't cut that wave.
He basically went, I trust you guys to defend. I'm just going to go clear the creep wave behind them as I'm kind of looking for farm here. So I'll be right back. And just went.
And this is the play, right? Now you can't push in anything. It's all been so equilibrium disputed. Let's go take another objective.
No,
They're having
no
a
jungle.
push.
Not phased at all. They decided, well, we're going to take a Roshan now. Lot needs an Aghanim Scepter. Eagle Song is finished on him now. It looks like he's going to be picking that up. Big Tauntaun going for
I'm
some
actually
right
surprised they give it to the Mirana, to be honest. I would have given it to the Io.
No,
He's
because
sitting
Mirana
much
can just be more aggressive
forward.
now.
Yeah, I think
guess,
it's I think it's the right choice.
Because Mirana's only not being on the front line because she doesn't want to be. But now she can just go in there and kill a bunch of shit and die and then keep killing shit.
Yeah. I'm not really liking this choice by Thor though. He looks like he's trying to go back for the Echo Saber, and I would like him to just go for something a little bit more aggressive, like an AC. It's late enough in the game that Echo Saber is not going to do as much as he needs to. Haru though, going in for the aggression of Big Tauntaun and getting completely wiped out.
Ooh, that was
Fish
a nice
taking
arrow.
Fish taking a lot of damage there. Well, I think this is Zexa popping the ultimate.
They don't even really need to engage. Blob's sitting, 700 meters back, hitting that tower.
Thor is in the area. They do drop a sentry, but they're going to get dewarded straight away. Meanwhile, the spirits are and the Illuminate are going to be zoning them back really far. Zexon's going to have to go home. And
Iron
this is going to be
Force
the
trying to
routes.
work his magic again and get around them here to go cut the lane again. Oh, there he is pulling the wolf form, looking for some backliners.
Haru has found a Big Tauntaun. Looks like Big Tauntaun's going to get popped here.
Poor Wolfie gets kited up on the back end there.
Blop just does too much damage.
Oh, but the Chaotic Offering has come out. Blop's still got lots of healing coming out from him there.
He still has the Aegis, so...
Lenski just healing him up from the back line there, saying, I'll just throw all my life into you, I don't need it.
Fish is just teasing with the Epicenter, starting to channel it up and immediately stopping over and over, just waiting for a good chance to jump onto the rest of the team with that rebound.
One of those things you gotta like charge it up and cancel it if it's not quite ready to go. It's the rebound just has to be just perfect alignment kind of thing, otherwise you end up in completely the wrong place.
Indeed. I don't know how they're going to be able to kill Blop now with this butterfly completed. He's got lots of healing from Insatiable Hunger when it's on. He's looking for more right-click damage now. It looks like Haru's going to try and bring him under the tower. There is the Aegis coming out. Here comes the Meteor first. And look at the damage. It's going to be good, but Lance is there in the healing.
All the heals.
And here's the right-click. I don't think they can stop him from... There's the ultimate that Fish was waiting for.
The Insatiable Hunger is like a satanic, like it's just full health out of nowhere.
Like he can just pop that whenever he feels like it.
Well, he can. He gets rocked on all these kind of things and controlled, but that's when Lenski is just healing him. I will make you survive all of the initiation, so that when it's done, you just click everyone and they're dead. You're alive. We see it now. They're pushing into Rax really hard.
No, by the whole team. The only one with it is I'm Thor, I believe, and I think he's not going to bother using it. Oh, Zexar, actually, in fact. And it looks like they're going to clear out the last racks from each of the lanes, and it's going to be 26 minutes. Another complete Mega Creeps out. And I think, again, not as big as the gold advantage they had the last game, but advantage nonetheless. And I think it's going to be the... might be the end of Harulds in this upper bracket side. The horn does sound. Haru looking for this skewer, but doesn't manage to find a block. Pops him immediately, though. Big Tauntaun looking to anti-tank, and then even shoving into the fountain.
Like, they're even landing multi-meteor on top of Fatal Bonds, and it just isn't mattering at this point at all.
Blop even in all chat asking them to come out of the fountain. Groman falling now to Blop's immense right-click damage. And this is merciless. Haru's calling for a report. I think this is going to be GG.
You got the option. GGO, boys.
Thor is deciding... Oh, looks like they're actually going to get Blop to fall under the fountain. He's got his...
Oh!
How did he not die? How did he not die?
Healing?
Oh my god!
The healing coming out of
I thought he was
unreal.
dead.
No.
I looked at the Aegis going, oh, he's definitely used it.
Alright,
no,
now they're like,
there.
insult to injury, they're like life sapping or stealing or giving to the guy that has tether on top of Blop to just like amplify the healing that the tether is giving him. This is just ridiculous. I've seen that before, and it's unreal the amount of healing that tether can provide under that scenario.
5 members of Harolds are alive. Their Ancient is falling. Is this going to be one last go? And it looks like...
Oh, they'll claim
Blop does end up falling.
They'll need to drop the rock on him to finish him off.
Big Tauntaun still playing big. Meanwhile, the Ancient is just going to fall, and that's going to be a clean 2-0 by No Jungle over Harolds.
Indeed. As much as we look at the scoreboard and think this was incredibly one-sided, there was a point at which here things were quite balanced, and then, we got to about that 10-minute mark. Certain items came online, certain things came in terms of abilities starting to really come to fruition, and we saw them power spike away from that.
It was
Agna
just
did so much damage.
it
Agna,
all
I
it
love
all
it.
came together, and No Jungle just decided right. It's a repetitive pattern that I see in a lot of their games where no matter how the early lane goes, is whether they get a good advantage or not, it's always in this mid game where they really come together as a team and decide, right, what are our timings? Who's getting the next big item? Whose Aghanims is up? Whose right click damage is up? What can we do next? And with healing, with a mech, with which we saw last game with on the Tinker, on the mid laner with Rearm, and this game it was I think the Aghanims as well as the push and the healing was coming out from Blop. Just decided, right, let's do it. Let's 5-man. Let's try for some towers. Let's go for some fights. See what happens. And as soon as they hit that advantage, that one by one towers fall and the racks are starting to get knocked on.
So I've never actually seen this spinner snare in action. It did 7,000 damage. That seems like a lot.
It's
I
it's
like
not
it.
a terrible build, but it just really didn't see any competitive play at all because of how specific the minutia of its use is. You can't just throw it out or rush it in the game. I think in this game in particular, it would have had a better
Overall
utility.
impact, yeah, because of the
Yeah,
I
scenario
because
wonder.
that it was used under.
I wonder
exactly,
if
Big
we can
Tonto can't
submit.
see them. So
I wonder if we can submit a request to have it added to webs as an alt, as like an auto cast swap instead of being
The
tied
spiders,
to
potentially.
spiders.
I think it makes more sense for it to be part of Spinware, but I think that's another quality of life change that has yet to come through with some of the changes, that we've just seen in the patch, which, as far as I can tell, may or may not have happened. So, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
checking
like
out
we don't
here. We don't
expect.
have anyone for a winner's interview here, so we will just wrap up our closing thoughts for the day here and then end up the stream. So, oh, I literally said that, and lo and behold, our winner has appeared. So let's get Blop in here, and we can ask him all about the game.
Wonderful.
Hey, Blop's a streamer. He should totally be down for a
Hello,
winner interview.
Blop. We're gonna pull you in here, and there is. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, there's Blop.
Hello.
So I'll let you guys
Hi,
ask the
everyone.
questions.
After you, Chicken, if you want to go first.
I definitely have a question.
Okay.
In a lot of these games, we're seeing people not get their ultimate. So, like in this last game, Io took a level of spirits. He went 4 sandstorm, 4 webs, 1 level of spirits before getting unleash. What am I missing here? This does not make sense to me, and I don't get it.
Unleash is not that great level 1, let's say it like that. And he's more or less with the Sandstorm, you have control over the lane, and Unleash is just for fighting. And if he pushes, nobody can go on him if he has Web and Sandstorm. And he does not really need the Unleash till then. But in detail, you have to ask Anton why he did that. But I think that was his
Well, at the point you guys
thinking.
weren't
That
ready to fight, right? You guys had lane control and everything else that you were using, and
I
then
mean, we were happy with all the lanes.
it really was that moment that we saw you guys go to fight that he did pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's something I've seen in the tournament a lot where a lot of times I'm noticing like mids specifically are just holding off their ultimates to just keep laning. And
Yeah, but
like at
the
my
IO
tier
build
level,
is
never happens.
the IO build is just about the spirits. Spirits is insane on IO. Now he has the talent again on level 15 for spirit damage.
Well, that was the thing. He
So
didn't have spirits. That's why I was confused because he went 4 sandstorm, 4 webs, and then 0
yeah, but
spirits up until
I
level
mean
9.
he's peaking on level 15, the IO.
Okay.
He's aiming to
That's
get
like
all of the spirits for 15 when the Ags is complete, and why put anything
I have
into it until then, kind of thing.
exactly. Have a good time till you get to level 15, and what gets him to level 15? It's Sandstorm and Web, maxing both of those. Web gives you the sustain and the escape, and Sandstorm gives you additional escape plus farm. And the
And
CD is you want the duration and the cooldown on Sandstorm. That's why you max it.
So I have a
yeah,
question for you, Bob. I'm curious. What is your opinion here? So we've seen the new patch. We've seen the changes to Null Talisman. Tell me, what are your thoughts about Girl Woman's 3 Null Talisman build in the mid lane
I think
in the new
I think
patch?
that's the reason why they lost the change to Null Talisman. That they
That was the
changed it
only
to.
reason.
That's the only reason that
I
they lost.
understand.
If it would be on the old patch, they might would have won with that Pugna build with the 3 Null Talisman strat.
I see.
So I have a bit of
But
a question here in terms of the timing of these kind of things. We saw very clearly that the game was relatively balanced up until about the sort of 10, maybe 12-minute mark. In terms of the net worth was relatively even, maybe a little bit getting ahead in terms of 100k net worth. It was sort of 3-4 in terms of the kills, and then sort of almost 5-10 minutes later, everything has changed. We're now at like 25k gold lead. You've pushed down all the towers, all these kind of things. What are you guys looking for that moment to put your foot on the gas and not take it off again?
Magnus with Tether and Guardian Greaves. What can they do against us? With Tether, Greaves, the Nether Ward. If we just 5-man with our builds in the second game, and I'm the tower hit on Mirana with Marksman, Feral, Overcharge, it's just immense right-click damage to
Is this just something that
hit all the
happens
towers.
naturally in terms of you feel like you're strong and people group up and you call it and then say, let's go? Or is this the kind of thing where you're actively calling for it, looking for that timing, going, guys, we know, we got to get the IO to his 15. That's, roughly 10 minutes into the game before we can get all that gold and that levels to get there. We need to get there. That's our power spike kind of thing. Like, how do you
I
guys
mean, yeah,
plan that?
that was clear from the beginning. That if once we group up with those drafts, that it's gonna be hard for them, and it just comes when everyone has his core key items that you can start doing that. And our shot caller is also the Magnus, who was like with Tether, had the Greaves, had the Holy Locket. Then the Spirit form, the disposed Spirit form is completely broken if you saw it with Adderlands. It gives you the 250 cast range from Adderlands, or 225, and the Spirit form also gives you additional cast range.
Yeah, we were
You saw
seeing
him how
like
he.
grab from across the map, it felt like, and throwing them
Yeah.
into battle kind of thing with the dispose.
So
Just
if one of
unreal.
them. Yeah, if one of them goes in, having a peek at us, he just disposed them. So we murdered that one, and then it's 4 versus 5. And the Abaddon, I mean, he had a PKP, but he couldn't fight into all 5 of us
No.
with all the heals we had.
Indeed.
I have another question about game one. So the draft did look like you guys came off in the draft really far ahead after getting the rearm, Ricky's permanent invisibility, the track, as well as I think a better carry build. What did you think? What did you guys think going into game one? How did the draft go for you guys?
I think in game 1, it was like we said, like, "Phew, this is gonna be hard," because they have all the control in the world. They had Stormhammer, they had Smokescreen, Malefice, then Exo with Firestorm, then what else did they have? Chainfrost Black Hole and Laser and Pit of Malice. They had so much control. If we would have clumped up there, getting Black Hole and Chainfrosted with Midnight on top and Firestorm on top, it would have been impossible to win. But I actually don't know how
You guys never grouped
how
up.
it
That
happened.
was our call that we were saying was their only way to
Yeah,
victory, and you had, Tauntaun literally running around the map with Eidolons in every lane to the point that he wasn't even needing to be efficient with them, and he was still pushing every single lane aggressively all the time. And then you running around with the Invis taking out Black Hole and Chainfrost, it's the two backliners. They just never could get you guys into the situation where those spells made a difference, and every time they look up on the map, it's being pushed in all 3 lanes. It
I
was
It's
one
think
of
really
those
the
things
key
interesting.
where the draft maybe looked
key to
one way.
victory was. I think the key to victory was track in that game, because that allowed us to get the pickoffs.
Yeah,
You
we
had
were
track and blink
wondering,
in, then you crit
was that a
every hit on an Omni model.
Was that a key pickup? As in, you had the invis, you're just like, we need to get track right next, kind of
I
thing, or
was
is it
pretty sure
you just
I was pretty
wanted
sure
it as
they
well?
would pick it up.
We
And
were
we
think
wanted it.
we were thinking about it as well, and then they ended up getting the Stormhammer there in terms of, do you pick it to counter the invis, that kind of thing. So you guys saw that and were like, we need this.
And I mean, it was Omni Knight has pretty good right click damage, and then with the Blink Strike and Drag, he hits pretty hard and can go for all the pickoffs on the map,
Yeah,
which
and we
was
saw getting
also
Hammer of
crucial.
Purity on top of that just add insult to injury for a lot of the
Yeah.
blink on top and just pound someone down.
I think in game one they would have needed to win the lanes harder. They didn't pressure us on, at least on bot. I can only say they didn't pressure my PA enough. I mean, they had laser and the Stormhammer, but I thought it would be harder on the lane.
It's an interesting perspective because from our when we were watching the game, we were looking at how much control you guys had on the off lane against Harolds' course, and not seeing a way for them to get back into it once Maximus started to snowball off with these kills. And yeah, it's really interesting you recognize the level of control they had, because it did really feel like you guys were in the driving seat for most of that game. And it's an interesting perspective that you gave with so much respect to the abilities they had drafted. You kept your eye completely on the ball with you know
A few
aggressive.
mistakes in the first game, and
Yep,
they
a
could
few
have turned the
missteps.
game.
And we
Yep.
saw that, right? Like, there was that point in the mid there where a few good black holes, chain frosts, and they're dead, and the whole team's gone, and they can walk down a lane just as well as you guys can at that point in time. So,
And they
but
can push fast with Exo and the Broodmother Atrophy
yeah, having the permanent
build.
invis though to be able to get around people and see the back line, pick them off, these kind of things was always keeping them on their toes. You could tell they were just
Yeah.
terrified of where you were all the time.
Yeah, that was the goal, to make them afraid and stay in the base, and we just farm the map if they don't go out. And if ever one gets out of the base, we just kill that one. That was the goal. And I think they only smoke ganked once, where they killed me, but still lost the fight in the end.
Yep. And that was
Uh,
simply because they didn't take the outpost before the fight. Your entire team was able to come in on the back of that outpost and just destroy them. Does anyone have any other questions for Blob before we let him go here?
I do not.
Wonderful. Well,
Thank you for the interview. That's the word.
yeah, thanks for casting, guys.
nice try on the
Congrats on
words
your
there,
win as
Chicken.
well.
Yes, congratulations on making it through to the next round of the upper bracket.
Isn't it the finals already next time? No.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Getting
Oh,
close.
oh,
Getting
oh.
close. Take care, Blob.
Nice. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, another exciting ability draft game. We're going to wrap it up here for the day. Not for the day, for EU. We will be back later this evening to do the North American week 2 as well. And we'll be joined later this evening by none other than Cinderin and Suns fan. So join us for that. Young Elin, it's been a pleasure having you here on the main stage casting with us. It's great to hear your perspective on the ability draft scene and what's going on, and we wish you all of the best in your casting futures.
Thank you very much for the invite. Yeah, I really appreciate being here. Thanks again for letting me commentate this match and this tournament.
It's a pleasure having you. You guys take care, and we'll see you all later today at approximately 9 o'clock for some more ability draft games.